त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Om. Dear friends, today we have to take up the summary of the 13th chapter of Gita. In the last class, though it was only half an hour, we completed that the last 3 shlokas in about half an hour or 40 minutes. So today we will take up the summary of the 13th chapter. So we have seen the overall context of the 13th chapter. That is, when we started this 13th chapter, Kshetra Kshetrajna Yoga, we recalled or recapitulated what we learnt in the earlier 12 adhyayas, and we saw the overall structure of the Gita. That is, I was saying that unconsciously there is a structure which is built into Gita, that is Tat Tvam Asi. So this Mahavakya is seen in this Gita, the 18 chapters of the Gita. And the first 6 chapters we saw that they tell about the Tvam Padartha, and the next 6 chapters they tell about the Tat Padartha. The last 6 chapters it is called the Sadhana Shatkam. Sadhana Shatkam means this 6, the group of 6. Shatkam means the group of 6 which talk about the sadhana, which talk about the means. So the Mahavakya says that you are. In what manner am I that? I have to know what am I and what is that, and how am I going to become that. I am in the 10th class, I am seeing somebody, some collector or somebody, and then I know what I am and I know what is that. So what is it I have to do to become that? So I have to undergo some process, I have to undergo some process of purification, I have to undergo some process of discipline and all that in order to become that. So this Sadhana Shatka deals with this type of sadhana. And then it again tells, what are the disciplines which a person has to undergo. So that is why at the very beginning, Anandagiri was saying, Antima Shatkaha Vakyartha Nishtaha Samyak Dhi Pradhanaha Adhuna Arabhyate. That is Vakyartha Nishtaha. That is this Mahavakyartha Nishtaha. That is, you have to dwell on the meaning of that Mahavakya. And then Samyak Dhi Pradhanaha. You have to have that Samyak Buddhi. That is Samyak Jnanam. And what is that Samyak Jnanam? We have seen earlier also in the earlier chapters also. But even from here, of course, there is a greater elaboration of what is this Samyak Jnana. So that is what we saw. Then, the very first shloka, we saw the overall structure I explained at the beginning. In the very first shloka talks about Idam. It starts with that Idam. So that means Idam ta. Idam ta means that thisness. Idam ta, that this. So whatever you can see or isolate from yourself is this. It can be designated as this. This is a pen, this is a book, that is something else. This means this also includes that. Whatever is apart from you is this, Idam. You should not say only this means something which is proximate to you and that is something different. So whatever you can distinguish from you, whatever you can distinguish from the knower, whatever you can be distinguished from the knower, that is I. So that is all that becomes that this. So the shloka, the adhyaya starts by saying that Idam Shariram Kaunteya Kshetramityabhidhiyate. Kshetra and Kshetrajna are the 2 terms which are used by Lord Krishna for the first time in this Gita. So that also we saw. Why this word Kshetra is used? Kshetra, because Kshetra the meaning was derived in 3 ways. That is, Kshatat Trayate iti Kshetram. That is, some hurt is going to happen. Kshatat Narakadi Lakshanat Chayat Kshatat Trayate iti Kshetram. So that was one derivation. That is, because of our ignorance, avidyaya, because of our ignorance, we get lot of bad, we do lot of bad karma and get the fruit of that bad karma. And that fruit of the bad karma is that Naraka, some undesirable state of existence. So Narakadi Lakshanat Trayate iti Kshetram. This is something which protects That is, in what way is it protecting? Because you can do some good deeds and then you can get rid of that, you can get out of that, because you know what is right and what is wrong. So you can know, you can do some good deeds and then you can protect yourself from that say bad effects. So that is shatat trayate. Then kshiyate iti kshetram. This is something which keeps on declining. That is another meaning. Then kshetravat karmaphalam dadati iti kshetram. Like a field. You have an agricultural field. Then you sow something. As you sow, so shall you reap. So that is one very, very well-known saying. So as you sow some good seeds and you will get a good result. You sow some bad seeds or poisonous seeds, you get the poisonous results. So from these three are the derivations of this kshetram. So this kshetra and kshetrajna have been used in this thing. And are they new words? They are not new words, because Shankara Bhashya, the very opening of Shankara Bhashya says, Saptame adhyaye dve prakriti nirdishte para apara. So that is how this adhyaya Bhashya starts. That is, he refers to that Saptama adhyaya, that is 7th chapter, where this para prakriti and apara prakriti were say referred to. So kshetram, I explained to you, kshetram is the same as apara. It is the same as prakriti. To use the words of this Sankhya people, prakriti and purusha, they use two words called prakriti and purusha. Prakriti is the insentient principle which we see, and the purusha is the sentient principle which you see. So why I am saying you see? Because this what you see is again an appearance on that reality. So that is why prakriti is the insentient principle which we see, and purusha is that sentient principle, that is a knower which exists, that knower which is there always existing. Then kshetram is equal to apara. I gave a small equation also. Kshetram is the same as apara. It is equal to prakriti. It is the same as vishaya. There are two other words called vishaya and vishayi. Vishaya is an object and vishayi is the knower of that object. Vishaya, vishayi. Then drushya. Drushya is something which is seen, that which is objectified. And then druk is the seer. Then anatma, that is something which is non-different, non-atma. There is something which is non-atma, that is the kshetra is anatma. This is atma, what I call self, what I call myself or I. The notion of I starts here. Then this kshetram again is jada, whereas kshetrajna is chetana. So kshetram we saw, kshetrajna is, what is kshetrajna? Kshetrajna is what was referred to as para prakriti in that 7th chapter. It is the same as purusha, in order to use that Sankhya terminology. It is the same as vishaya, vishayi, that is the knower. It is the same as druk. Druk also is the knower. Then it is also called atma, it is also called chetana. So these are all various synonyms for the same word kshetra and kshetra, same words kshetra and kshetrajna. Because in the same adhyaya, we are also going to see two more words, prakriti and purusha. So that is why this adhyaya is sometimes called kshetra kshetrajna yoga or prakriti purusha vibhaga yoga. It doesn't matter, because the basic meaning is same, words are different. So some edition it calls it kshetra kshetrajna yoga, some other edition calls it prakriti purusha vibhaga yoga or viveka yoga. So that is what we saw in the very first shloka. Then yetadyo vetti. Vetti means vishayi karoti. Shankaracharya mentions vishayi karoti, one who objectifies this, one who sees this as an object. He is called kshetrajna. So that is what he said. Then the very second shloka, we saw a lot of discussion by Shankaracharya. The very second shloka says, kshetrajnam chapi maam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata. So this kshetrajnam chapi maam vidhi. So this was seen in two ways. Kshetrajnam chapi. Who is this kshetrajna? Kshetrajna is, the literal meaning of kshetrajna is one who knows the kshetram is kshetrajna. Then what is this kshetrajna? Kshetrajna in vyavahara dasha. That is when this knower of the body-mind complex is identifying with the body-mind complex, sharirasthaha, when he is identifying in that, he is jiva only. But when he isolates himself, he becomes Ishvara. He becomes that Paramatma. So this is Vyavahara Dashayam Jiva. So he is a Jiva in the Vyavahara Dasha, and in the Paramartha Dasha, at the absolute level, he is Brahma. So this is the meaning of that Kshetrajna. So when you come to this shloka, Kshetrajnyan chapi mam vidhi, So there are two meanings for that, api cha, api cha. What is that? Also, know me only as the kshetrajna. Know me only as the kshetrajna or the field knower. Know me only means there is nothing else. I, that Supreme Brahman, I am the kshetrajna. I am in that. So which means this is another way of saying Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi is that you are. So here the Bhagavan himself is saying, I am the kshetrajna, I am the illuminer of the kshetram, I am in the kshetram. So what does it mean? I am that. So from that side, Lord is saying, from our side we are saying, I am that. From that side again Lord is saying, I am you. So kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi. So that is one meaning. Then another meaning is, I am kshetra also. Kshetramapi mam vidhi. When I say, I am that also, which it means that I am something else already. And then I am that also. So this is the meaning given by, say, Shankarananda. What is that? Kshetramapi mameva vidhi. Kshetrasya swataha sattabhavat. Kshetrasya swataha sattabhavat means the kshetra does not have an independent existence of its own. It is something which is projected, which is something which is adhyasa, which is something which is superimposed on the Brahman. So kshetramapi mameva vidhi. So I am the kshetram also. So that meaning also we have to see. So kshetrajnanchapi mam vidhi. Then sarva kshetreshu bharata. Every word here was very, very important. Sarva kshetreshu, that is in all kshetras, that is what you see, all this multitude of beings. There is only one Atma, Sarva kshetreshu. This Sarvatma Bhava is told right from the beginning of Gita. So Sarva kshetreshu, Sarira Anekatvam, seeing unity in one, seeing the unity in that multitude, in that say plurality. So that is it. Then kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam yat tat jnanam matam mama. So this knowledge of or awareness of what is the kshetra and kshetrajna is real jnanam in my view. So this is a simple shloka, fairly simple shloka. But then on this, there was a very, very long discussion about how this kshetrajna can be Ishvara. Because Shankaracharya, he has given an interpretation that kshetrajna is Ishvara. It is the same as Tattvamasi, isn't it? So then, how can a dualist agree for that? Dualist always says, God is different, I am different. So the dualist raised some questions. Kshetrajna will get into samsara, he will become a transmigrating being. Then all the Shastra, Anarthakyam, then this man is the Lord himself. Then where is the need for Shastra? So all these things, then what is the locus of avidya? Then you say that all this is due to avidya. Then where is avidya situated? So there was a long discussion about these 3 points, that is Kshetrajnesa samsaritvam. Then number 2 is Shastra, Anarthakyam, the futility of the scriptures. Number 3, what is the locus of avidya, where exactly is it located? Does it pertain to Jiva or does it pertain to Ishvara? Where is it located? Then after a long say discussion and analysis of each and every point, we need not go into that because we spent about 7 to 8 hours on that, 7 to 8 days. So I'll very briefly say, samsaritvam is due to avidya. That is what was the reply. The final reply was, the first question is kshetrajnasya samsaritvam, it is due to avidya. Avidya, that is adhyaropa, lakshana. Then avidya, Shankaracharya gave an example of a defective eye, timira drushti. Timira drushti, a defective eye. It is the defect of the eye, but not the defect of the knower. So if you replace the eyeball, you go to that eye bank and then take out the eye and then you replace that eye, this man will see. So that means the knower, it is not the problem of the knower, it is the defect of the eye. So like that, this drushti dosha relates to this jiva only, drushti dosha relates to antahkarana and not to the knower. So that is what he said. Then avidya is the defect of karana. Karana means that instrument. And it is again like, to take the example of this colored glass. You pass the light through a colored glass, the light which is coming out also looks colored. So like that, you make the glass clean, the beam passing through it will also be clean. So that is one. Then in moksha avastha, avidya is not there. In the state of realization, this avidya is not there, which means that avidya is not an atma dharma. If it were to be really a property of this atma, there would not be moksha at all. If it were to be really a property of say Atma, there would not be moksha. Even in this the so-called moksha also, this avidya will continue to be there. So in the case of moksha, it is not there. So it means that it is not a property of say this Atma. Then there is, we also refer to this Vivaranacharya Matam and Bhamati Prasthana. According to Bhamati Prasthana, that is, Bhamati is a commentary on Brahma Sutras. It was written by one say person called Vachaspati Mishra. According to him, according to his say opinion, say avidya relates to jiva, whereas other Vedantins, there is another Acharya called Vivaranacharya, that which is accepted by most of the people. So according to him, this avidya is only a manifestation in that Brahman itself, because there cannot be a duality in this. Avidya again is a manifestation in that Brahman itself. Agachantu Mahashaya? Upavishyantu. So avidya is a manifestation in that Brahman itself. So it is like taking the bull by the horns and saying, yes, it is this, and then avidya is not located in jiva. Avidya is something which is located in the Ishvara itself. That is the picture. Then after that, Krishna comes to describing what exactly is this Kshetra and what is this Kshetrajna. Today we are doing a summary of this Kshetrajna Yoga. So Krishna starts telling about say what is this Kshetra and what is Kshetrajna. So we have seen that shlokas 5th and 6th, 5 and 6, they summarize or they give a gist of what exactly is the Kshetra. The normal meaning of Kshetra which we take is, Kshetra means the body-mind complex. We are usually tuned to our own body-mind complex. But here we see that Kshetram refers to the whole multitude of say all beings, starting from a blade of grass right up to that Hiranyagarbha Brahma, Mahabhutan, Ahankaro, Buddhir, Avyaktamevacha, right up to that. Then Indriyani Dashaikamcha Panchacha Indriya Gochara. In this shloka we have seen, I explained to you that Sankhya say sentence, that is, what is that? Mula Prakrutihi Avikrutihi Mahadadhyaha Prakriti Vikrutaya Sapta. Then Shodashakastu Vikaraha. Then this Purusha is something which is neither a Prakriti nor a Vikruti. So that was that shloka. So in the first line of this particular shloka, this is 5th shloka, Mahabhutani Ahankaraha Buddhi Avyaktaha. It is referring to this one is Mola Prakriti, which is Avikruti. It does that is one. It is not a product of anything. Avikruti means it is not a product or a derivative or evolute of anything else. Then Mahabhutani Ahankaraha Buddhihi. These 7 Mahabhuta, these 5 Tanmatras, Ahankara and Buddhi. These 7, they are evolutes. They are at the same time derivatives from that Avyakta, and they also give rise to the body-mind complex. In that sense, they are the Prakriti for this body-mind complex. So they are called Prakriti Vikrutayaha. It is at the same time Prakriti and also Vikruti. And then the next line, Indriyani Dashaikamcha, they are only evolutes, because from them nothing else is coming out. From them nothing else is derived. So this is the body-mind complex of all the beings in the whole universe. So that is what we saw. Apart from this, all this say Ichha, Dveshaha, Sukham, Dukkham, all this also is Kshetram. Not only this Panchamaha Bhutas, and then not only this Indriyani and also Indriya Vishayaha, but also Ichha, Dvesham, Sukham, Dukkham. Then we saw one important word called Chetana. Chetana, what is this Chetana? Chetana is not mere sentience. We saw Vrutyavachinna Chaitanya. Vrutyavachinna Chaitanya is that Chetana. Dhrutihi. So all right up to this point, they are all called Kshetra. Iti Kshetram Samasena Savikaram. Savikaram means with all the changes. Then there we saw that, we see that except Brahman, all others are Vikari. Except Brahman, all other things are those which undergo some change. So that is one. Then from shloka 6 to 11, the subject changes. The subject changes. There we have seen in those 6 shlokas, the amanitvam, adambhitvam, etc., etc. All the what are all these things? This is the sampat. This is the sampat which you have to acquire in order to become that Brahman. So that is jnanam iti proktam. So by figurative use of that word jnana, though amanitvam and adambhitvam by themselves are not jnana, they are leading to jnana. Jnana sadhanani jnanatvena upacharitani. So jnana, because they are supposed to be the means for attaining jnana, by upachara means by a figurative use of that word, they are called jnana. So that is what we saw. So there we saw about 20 qualities, amanitvam, adambhitvam. This we dwelt on all these things in fairly great detail. Then acharya upasanam. All these are chitta vrittis, different chitta vrittis. Acharya upasanam. This is again a very important step in that. Because acharya is something like a thermometer who tests your temperature. Acharya is the person who knows how mature a person is, how a student is progressing in his path of discipline, self-discipline. So Acharya has that importance. So Shaucham, Sthiryam, Atmavigraha, Indriyartheshu, Vairagyam. Indriyartha we also saw there is a Drushta Vishaya and Adrushta Vishaya in all the things that Vairagyam. Then Anahankara Evacha. Then Dukkha Doshanudarshanam. Doshanudarshanam, we also refer to that Patanjali Sutra, Pratipaksha Bhavanam. So just to see or to analyze the consequent evils of a particular thing. Dosha Anudarshanam. If you follow a particular path, what are the consequent evils? So that is the Dosha Anudarshanam. So all these things we saw. Then again Asaktihi Anabhishvangaha. Asakti is a particular degree of attachment. Abhishvanga is another higher degree of attachment. Asakti is Sakti is one degree of attachment. Abhishvanga is a higher degree. Sakti means suppose I have an interest in some sweet, a particular thing. That is Sakti. Asakti is not having that particular Sakti. Abhishvanga means a higher type of attachment. For in my wife, children, so Putradhara Gruhadishu, there is a greater attachment, there is a more intense attachment. So that is Abhishvanga. Anabhishvanga. So you neither have this ordinary Sakti nor special Sakti. Even that higher level of Sakti, you have to get rid of all that. Then Dukkha Dosha Anudarshana. So up to that point and also beyond. So we saw this Jnana Sadhanani. Then Asaktihi Anabhishvangaha Nityam cha Samachittattvam Ishta Anishtopavattishu. Then Mayicha Ananya Bhave Ananya Yogena Bhaktihi Avyabhicharini. This is the Nishkama Bhakti which we saw. Nishkama Bhakti and Sakama Bhakti. We discussed in fairly great detail about that Ananya Yoga. Ananya Yoga means knowledge that I am the Supreme Being, nothing else. That is, he is seeking the Lord, or he is seeking, Lord means not Lord Krishna or anything. He is seeking the Supreme Brahman, realizing that that is the only goal which has to be known. That is the only thing which has to be known. That is Ananya Bhakti. And then Bhaktihi Avyabhicharini, unswerving, not going this side or that side. Vyabhicharati is V plus Abhi plus Charati. So all moves all around. That is what is called Vyabhichari. Avyabhicharini Bhakti. So that is an unswerving Bhakti. That is your focus is only on the Supreme Brahman, because you know that that is the only thing which has to be known. And then for that, what is the preparation needed? Vivikta Desha Sevitvam Aratihi Janasamsadi. This is again the preparation which is to be followed, which has to be noted. That is, you can't be in a crowd and then you can't think of God. Vivikta Desha Sevitvam means you can't go to a club and you can't go do meditation in a club. Then Aratihi Janasamsadi. In this Janasamsad, you cannot do anything. So you are supposed to make suitable ambience, create suitable ambience for that, and then get into that. Then this line again is important. Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. That is Adhyatma Jnanam. What is that Adhyatma Jnanam? Again, Nitya Atma Anatma Viveka Jnanam. What is Atma and what is Anatma? That is Viveka Jnanam. That is Nityatvam. Nityatvam means not as though you just study it and then forget about it. You should always dwell on that. Always dwell on that. That is that Nityatvam. Then Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. Tattva Jnanartha. Artha means for the purpose of Tattva Jnana. You are studying it for the purpose of knowing truth. So that is that Tattva Jnana, for the purpose of knowing, for the purpose of realizing moksha. So for the purpose of that supreme purpose, that is, purpose is moksha. For that purpose, so all these things, etad jnanamiti proktam ajnanam yadatonyatha. So all these gunas, this amanitvadi gunas, these characteristics, because they are going to lead a person to this state of jnana, they are called jnanam. So because we have seen that in the Gita, it is not mere theoretical learning, that is theoretically knowing what is Brahman, that is required. It is becoming Brahman. In order to become Brahman, a lot of purificatory process has to take place. So all this tells about the purificatory process. Then the next subject, the subject switches over to what is that Brahma? What is that Supreme Brahma? What is that Jnayam? We know what is Jnayam. Jnayam is that which has to be known. So that Jnayam Brahma, what is that? Then that is described from say shlokas 12 to 17. 6 shlokas, they talk about this, what is this Jnaya Brahma. Then Jnayam yattat pravakshyami yad jnatva amrutamashnute. By knowing that amrutam, meaning of amrutam is moksha, liberation. Amrutam is that liberation. Then anadimat param brahma nasattan asaduchyate. Anadimat, there was a discussion on that anadimat also. Adimat, adihi yasya asti iti adimat. Na adimat iti, na plus adimat, nai tat purusha, that is anadimat. So that which is originless, that is what is called anadimat. Whereas the other group was trying to split it as anadi and matparam. So that is not correct. Anadi and matparam, by dividing in that manner, you may be able to avoid this so-called repetition. Anadimat, anadimat. The Purvapakshi's objection was the word anadimat is something a sort of repetition. You see, if you say anadi itself is good enough, why should you say anadimat? So that was the objection. So if you don't do like that, you are doing a damage to the Siddhanta. If you don't say anadimat, you are doing a damage to the very Siddhanta. So that is why you have to say that it is anadimat and param brahma. And here we also noted that Maya also is Anadi. Maya also is Anadi. So that is why in order to exclude that Maya, in order to exclude the possibility of Maya, he has also added the word Param Brahma. So that is what. Then this Nasattan Nasaduchyate, there was a discussion on that also. Sat and Asat. So what is manifest and what is unmanifest. So this is the same as Anyadeva tad viditad atho aviditad adhi. Iti Shushruma Dhiranam Yanastadvyacha Chakshire, isn't it? Anyadeva tad viditat, we saw it in that Kena Upanishad. Vidita and avidita. What is known and what is unknown. That is what is manifest and what is unmanifest. Beyond that, what else is remaining? Parisheshat, the knower itself is Brahma. Knower himself is Brahma. So that is what we saw in that Kena Upanishad also. Because this Purvapakshi was objecting to this. You have mentioned Mahata Parikara Bandhena. Because by making elaborate preparation, by making a very mighty preparation, you said, I am going to tell you about this Brahma, and ultimately what is it you are saying? You are just saying that it is neither Sat nor Asat. What is so big about it? So that is what he said. Then Siddhanta answered, there is no other way of saying. There is no other way of saying apart from that, apart from saying that it is neither Sat nor Asat. Then again we saw another strategy which is adopted in Vedanta. That is Adhyaropa and Apavada, that strategy which is adopted in the Vedanta. That is, Adhyaropa is attributing certain things, certain characteristics which are not there, and then again negating. We took the example of Shakha Chandranyaya, that sun, moon. The moon is in that, on that, branch. Moon is definitely not in that branch. When you try to show or explain to a child what exactly is the moon, then you take the help of this Shakha. You say, okay, from this Shakha you just look up, there is that Chandra. Or when you are explaining about the sky, you say, okay, it is something like a sort of inverted bowl. There is a blue surface. So that in that way you initially explain, and later you say there is no inverted bowl there. There is no blueness also. So that is what you say. And once you see the Chandra, this Vriksha, this Chandra, all these branches, etc., they do disappear. So like that, we can see or realize or know Brahman only in a reflecting medium. It is something like a light. We took the example of light also. You just cannot see the light as it is. Sunlight, you cannot see the light as it is unless it is reflected on some surface. It has to be reflected on some surface. It has to be reflected on our retina itself, because even if we directly look into the sun, it has to be reflected in our retina. So unless there is a reflecting place, you can't see the light. So similarly, you cannot know this Brahman directly unless it is reflected in some antahkarana. That is, again, you can recall the line from Kenopanishad. Pratibodha viditam matam amrutatvam hi vindate. Pratibodha viditam. What is the meaning of Pratibodha viditam? Bodham bodham pratividitam. It is known, it is cognized in every cognition. It is known or realized in every cognition, not cognized, it is known in every cognition. There we also recalled one sloka from Panchadashi. Panchadashi, yasmin yasmin asti loke bodhaha tattad upekshane yad bodhamatram tad brahma. We discussed it. So wherever there is a cognition, you remove that vishesha. Once you remove that vishesha, that portion of consciousness itself, yad bodhamatram tad brahma. Whatever consciousness, that pure awareness, we are removing all the vishesha. Removing the vishesha, you just dwell on this awareness. That awareness is Brahman. So that is what we saw. So this is like that. So for this Adhyaropa and Apavada, we saw these 3 or 4 shlokas. Sarvatah Vanipadam Tat, Sarvatotshi Shiromukham. That is, all cognitions of all beings, all limbs and all sense organs of all beings, they belong to that. So it is similar to Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha, isn't it? So Sarvata Shrutimal Loke, Sarvamavritya Tishtati. So all these things are attributed onto that Brahman. And the very next shloka it says, Sarvendriya Guna Abhasam. Abhasa, it is just an appearance. All these Indriya Gunas are mere appearance. So Apavada is a type of Pravilapana. Apavada is a type of Pravilapana where you are merging this, you are merging the effect into the cause. Instead of seeing the effect, you are seeing the cause. So that is what is Pravilapana. You forget about the effect, that is Karyam, you see the Karana. So that is what is Pravilapana. Then Sarvendriya Vivarjitam. It is devoid of any of these Indriyas. Then Asaktam Sarvabhrutchaiva. It is number 1, it is Asaktam. It is not attached to anything, but at the same time it is supporting everything. Sarvabhrut. Sarvam Bibharti. Everything. It is supporting everything. How is it supporting everything? Because it is the substratum for every appearance. So Sarvabhrutchaiva. Then Nirgunam Guna Bhoktrucha. Guna Bhoktru. Bhoktru means, Bhoga means experience, knowing. In Vedanta, Bhoga does not mean enjoyment alone. Bhoga, depending on the context, you may say enjoyment. But Bhuj, that is Bhoga, means knowledge, knowing. Nirgunam Guna Bhoktrucha. Then again, Bahirantasya Bhutanam cha Acharam Charamevacha Sukshmatvat tad Avigneyam Durastham cha Antikesha tat. The all-pervading nature of that Brahman, all-pervading nature of that consciousness, because it is inside, outside only with respect to the body. Bahirantasya. That is only with respect to what? With respect to what? With respect to the body-mind complex. So Bhutanam, Acharam, Charamevacha. So all these things are looking like opposite words. But then you see the all-pervading nature of that consciousness. Then Avibhaktam cha Bhuteshu Vibhaktamivacha Sthidam Bhuta Bhartrucha Tagneyam Grashishnu Prabhavishnu cha. This is again all these paradoxical words which refer to the Supreme Brahman. Then again, iti kshetra jyotisham apita jyotihi. There again we discussed this line, natatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam, we discussed it. Because every shloka in this Gita is a sort of echo or a sort of reverberation of something which is there already in Upanishads. So Jnanam Jneyam Jnanagamyam Hrudi Sarvatra Vishtitam Iti Kshetram Tatha Jnanam Cha Jnanam Jneyam Cha Uktam Samasataha. In this manner, in brief, we have told what is Kshetram, what is Jnanam and what is Jneyam. Then Madbhaktaha Etad Vijnaya. Madbhaktaha. There Bhakta is not referring to an ordinary devotee. Bhakta is not referring to an innocent, ignorant devotee. It is referring to a Jnani. Bhakta there is Jnani. Madbhaktah etad vijnaya Madbhavaya upapadyate. He becomes eligible to become me. Madbhavaya, to become me. He becomes eligible. So that is what it is. Then from this next shloka, that is 19th, then again the subject changes. Subject changes means Prakriti Purusha. He uses different words. Lord Krishna uses different words to express the Kshetra and Kshetrajna. So this Prakriti and Purusha, this matter and intelligence, let us say, Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidhi Anadi Ubhavapi. So these both are both these are Anadi. So they both of them are originless. Vikaranscha Gunanschaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. Here we saw the eternality of Jiva. The eternality of Jiva means consciousness only. The eternality or say Nityatvam. Nityatvam is eternality. Eternality of Jiva is something which is Nirapeksham. Nirapeksham is absolute. Then the eternality of Kshetra. The Nityatvam of Kshetram is something which is Sapeksha. Sapeksha means it is contingent on, it is dependent on something else. Dependent on what? Dependent on you are getting knowledge. Once you realize Brahman, this Kshetram disappears. So Kshetram or Prakriti is something which disappears. Whereas Jiva is not something which disappears. Jiva, maybe his awareness changes. Jiva, his awareness it changes, and then he realizes that he is Brahman. Whereas this Prakriti or Kshetram, its Nityatvam is Sapekshatvam. So that point we noted in that context. Then one more important point which Shankaracharya was saying was, if Prakriti were not Anadi, suppose you imagine a situation where Prakriti is not Anadi. Prakriti is something which is created by God on a particular day. If it is created by God on a particular day, what was God doing prior to that? God was unemployed prior to that. So that situation was there. Then Shankaracharya was saying, Ishitavya bhavat Ishwarasya Anishwaratva prasangat. Something like that he was saying. Ishitavya bhavat. When there was no universe, before creation, what was God doing? God was idle. God was, he was jobless. So that contingency cannot be accepted, and he can't be called Ishwar also. Ishitavya bhavat. So he can't be called God also. That was, we discussed the other religions. For example, the Semitic religions which say that on a particular day, Lord appeared and then he created the whole universe. If that is so, then what are the defects? So all those things we discussed in that context. Then the next shloka tells about what goes to the making of the body-mind complex. That is, Karya Karana Kartrutve Hetuhu Prakriti Ruchyate. This Prakriti, or this starting from Mahabhutani, Hankara, etc., that is Karya Karana Kartrutve. In the Kartrutva means in the making of, in the preparation of this particular Karya Karana Sanghata. Karya is body, Karana are the senses. So Karya Karana Sanghata, the Hetu is the Prakriti. Then Purusha is that Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa is Sukha Dukkhanam Bhokturtve. In knowing or cognizing the Sukha and Dukkha, the Hetu is Purusha. So there is a sentient principle and an insentient principle. So insentient principle is what is known. The sentient principle, that Purusha is the knower. So that is, we saw. Then the next shloka again tells about what is the Karanam. What is the Karanam or the cause for this transmigration? The cause for transmigration is our Guna Sangaha, our attachment with these Gunas. Gunas means not the Prakriti, we say Satvarajastamo Gunas here, all other things which we saw here, Sukha, Dukkha, all these Gunas. So Guna, they are again Vikaras. They are again Vikaras of the same Satvarajastamo Guna. So this shloka says, Purusha Prakrtistho hi bhunkte Prakrtijan Gunan. Purusha Prakrtistha means that is one who is identifying himself with the body-mind complex. Staying in Prakriti. Staying in Prakriti means one who is identifying in that body-mind complex. So there, Prakrtijan Gunan Bhunkte. There he knows, he becomes involved in that, and then he thinks all these the problems of the body-mind complex are his own problems. So Karanam Guna Sangaha Asya Sad Asadyoni Janmasu. Sad Asadyoni, Deva, Manushya and Asura. Sat, Asat, Deva, Manushya, Asura, Janmasu. The Karanam is Guna Sangaha. Then the next shloka talks about different say ways in which this Atma is perceived in this body. Though this Atma is Akarta, we say that Atma is Akarta. On one hand, we say that Atma has nothing to do with this thing, but at the same time we say this is Upadrashta, this is Anumanta, Bharta, Bhokta, etc., etc. It is playing various roles. That is, depending on our own degree of awareness. Depending on our own degree of awareness, if you are a mere Charvaka type of person, you are merely enjoying all the sensual pleasures, so there you are a Bhokta. Then, if you are slightly, say, if you are at the level of a Tarkika, so this is an interpretation given by Nilakantha. We read that Nilakantha Vyakya also. If you are a Tarkika, where, okay, this is, all these things are due to this, say, Atma, all these things are due to Ishvara, so then he becomes Bharta. Then Anumanta, Anumanta at the level of Sankhyas. At the level of Sankhya, this Prakriti and Purusha, whatever Prakriti is saying, is doing, this Purusha has nothing to do with that, he merely watches that, and in his presence all that takes place. So in that sense it is an Anumanta. Then at the level of Vedanti, it is an Upadrashta. Upadrashta means a Sakshi. Somebody who has dissociated himself or distanced himself from all this activity, all the activities of the body-mind complex, and then he is looking at all these things as Guna Guneshu Vartante. In that manner he is looking at this thing as an observer. So observer does not mean that there is an activity called seeing. There is no activity called seeing. It is merely illumining the kshetram. So at that level it is called Upadrashta. So depending on different degrees of involvement of this jiva, different degrees of degree of involvement of this jiva, it is called Upadrashta, Anumanta, Bharta, Bhokta, etc. But really, in fact, in reality, it is Maheshwaraha, then Paramatmeti Chapyuktaha, Dehesmin Purushah Paraha. Then the next shloka says, Ya evam vetti purusham, the one who understands or realizes, aparokshataya vetti, understands or realizes it as its own nature, then sarvatha vartamanopi nasabhuyo bhijayate. Sarvatha vartamanopi, there was again some discussion on that. Sarvatha vartamanopi does not mean that a jnani can go and do all types of illegal things or immoral things. It is not that. Sarvatha Vartamanopi referred to, there are different types of jnanis. There are different types of jnanis. A jnani may do an ashram, may follow an ashrama dharma or may not follow an ashrama dharma. He may do Sandhyavandan, he may not do Sandhyavandan. So there may be some such things. But then, even then, Sarvatha Vartamanopi Nasa Bhuyo Bhijayate. That does not affect his jnana. In fact, we saw, I quoted one line, Nistraigunya Pathi Viharatam Ko Vidhi Ko Nishedha. Nistraigunya Pathi, that is, one who has gone beyond these three gunas. Ko Vidhi Ko Nishedha. There is no question of Vidhi, there is no question of Nishedha. There is no prohibition, there is no question of, say, enjoining something on that particular person. Because you see different types of jnanis. In our own tradition, you see Krishno Bhogi Shukastyagi, Nrupau Janaka Raghavau. Like that, there is a shloka. Krishna Bhogi. Krishna was a person who was fully in life, into very, very active life. Then Shukaha Tyagi, a person who had totally renounced everything. Nrupau Janaka Raghava. Janaka and Raghava, that is Rama, they were kings who were actually ruling the kingdom. They were doing all things which a king was supposed to do, and then still they were jnanis. So like that, there are different types of jnanis. So that is why, that is the meaning of Sarvatha Vartamanopi. In whatever manner this particular man is, Nasabhuyo Bhijayate, because this Linga Sharira does not transmigrate. In the case of a jnani, that Linga Sharira, we can say in a sense, we can say disintegrates, we can say in a sense, that is, the pranas, they merge in this, say, vayus. Then again, this the senses, they merge into the tanmatras. So that is what happens. Then again, there is a slight change in the subject from 23rd, say 24th shloka, 24th and 26th shloka. They tell about the different levels of seekers. Dhyanena atmani pashyanti kechid atmanam atmana. Then Anye Sankhyena Yogena Karma Yogena Chapare. In this shloka, there are three things which have been mentioned. So number one is Dhyanam, number one is Sankhya, number three is Karma. So of course Shankaracharya has not made a clear distinction say in his Bhashya, but we read Anandagiri Vyakhya, we read Nilakantha and also Madhusudana Saraswati, who all said that Dhyana here does not refer to the Dhyana Yoga which was mentioned in the 6th Adhyaya. 6th Adhyaya of Gita, we saw Dhyana Yoga. But then here, that is, this Dhyana is something different from that. This Dhyana is one level above. This is that Nididhyasanam, which is after a successful fructification after a successful completion of the Shravana and Manana, a person comes to this level. That is Nididhyasana level. So that is what is called Nididhyasana. That is the meaning given by Anandagiri and others. And we can accept it also. It is not against what Shankaracharya has written. Then Anye Sankhyena Yogena. Sankhya means Viveka. Sankhya is Atmanatma Viveka. That is Sankhyena Yogena. Karma Yogena Chapare. Karma Yoga is, it results in Nirmalatvam. Nirmalatvam, that is the Chitta Shuddhi. That is for cleaning the mind. So Karma Yoga is for cleaning the mind. Karma Yoga is for say removing all this dross from this Antahkarana. So that is, it gives Nirmalatvam. And Nirmalatvam alone is not enough. You need Nischalatvam, and Nischalatvam is available in that Dhyana. So this is a step-by-step progress. So this Dhyana, Nididhyasanam is for Uttamadhikari, then Sankhya is for a Madhyamadhikari, then Karma Yoga is for an ordinary man who is not still not mature to do that Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. But once he becomes, once he follows that Nishkama Karma, that path of Nishkamata, then naturally he will gradually graduate to the level of that Shravana and Manana. Shravana Manana Nididhyasana also. Then the next shloka talks about still more ordinary man. Let us say common man. In modern terms, we talk about common man. So we talks about the common man because Gita has to take care of everybody. Gita is not for some scholars only. Gita has to take care of everybody. So it has to cover all people in the society. It should also pat somebody. Suppose there is a good man, he is not a well-read man, a very ordinary man. So Gita should also give a pat on his back. So that is what he says. Anyet tvevam ajanantaha shrutvanyebhya upasate. So here Ishvara, number one is a person who is having Shraddha, a person who is having dedication. So this person, tepicha atitarantyeva mrutyum shrutiparayanaha, a person who is just devoted to what his master says, Shruti Parayanaha. Shruti we saw, Shruti does not refer to Shruti or scripture here. Shruti is what he has heard from his teacher. Shruti Parayanaha, those who have got a Nishtha, those who have got Shraddha in what the teacher has told, that leads to Ishvara Krupa. From Ishvara Krupa he gets that Chitta Shuddhi, and then after Chitta Shuddhi gradually he attains moksha. And then he may or may not follow say the Shravana Manana etc. But good Guru will definitely tell him this Mahavakyas, and those Mahavakyas will directly, the meaning of those Mahavakyas will dawn on him. So that is how he is going to attain say moksha. Though he may not read Advaita Siddhi and say all these Siddhi Granthas he may not read, but he will get moksha. So that is the meaning of this particular shloka, because we recall what Suta Samhita says, Manushya Matraha Moksha Adhikaraha. Manushya, every human being has an entitlement for moksha, is entitled for moksha. So that is what we saw. Then the next shloka talks about this Adhyasa. This is Yavat Sanjayate Kinchit Sattvam Sthavara Jangamam Kshetra Kshetrajna Sanyogat Tadvidhi Bharatarshabha. So this is whatever Yavat Kinchit, that is whatever little, whatever say appears. Sattvam Sthavara Jangamam, starting from a blade of grass right up to Hiranyagarbha, that is all because of this samyoga of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Then what is the nature of samyoga? The question is, Atma is something which is asanga, it does not say attached to with anything. Then Kshetra of course is avayavi, Atma is niravayavi. Consciousness is something which is niravayavi. So how can a niravayavi have say contact with an avayavi? So there we saw some discussion in that Shankaracharya Bhashyam. So there, what is the type of sanyoga? We saw Shankaracharya was saying that itaretara tadharmadhyasa lakshana sanyoga. That is, you are attributing the qualities of this kshetra or attributes of the kshetra and the kshetrajna. So that is the type of sanyoga. There is no literal sanyoga. So there we also discussed the 2 points, that is parinama upadana karanam and vivarta upadana karanam. Maya is the parinama upadana karanam for this universe, whereas Brahman is the vivarta upadana karanam for the universe. So that is what we saw in that particular context. Then again from 27th to say 30th, 4 shlokas, they talk about this Samyak Darshana. What is this Samyak Darshana? Samyak Darshana is Samam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram Vinashyat Swavinashyantam Yah Pashyati Sapashyati. The body-mind complex is something which is Vinashyati. So whereas this Atma which is there, which is illuminating all the Kshetras, it is something which does not say perish. So this is again, with this meaning we have come across earlier also. So this Samyak Darshanam is told in the next shloka also. Samam Pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam Ishwaram. This is similar to Kathopanishad line, Ashariram Sharireshu samavasthitam Ishwaram. So it is something similar to that, say that line, Ashariram Sharireshu, some shloka is there, some mantra. So it is like that. So here Samam Pashyan. So that is seeing oneself also as Brahma, not only seeing somebody else as Brahma, not only seeing the whole universe as Brahman, but seeing oneself also as Brahman. Seeing oneself also as Brahman will give rise to Abhayam. It removes his feeling of delimitedness, it removes his feeling of Dainyam, Dinata and then Dukkha and all these things. It removes all these things from him, and then he realizes his infiniteness. Once he realizes his infiniteness, that the concept of Bhaya, the Bhaya is due to ignorance, Dvitiyadvai Bhayam. So all these things we discussed. So that Bhaya disappears, and then he reaches a stage of Abhaya. He reaches a stage where he shows unconditional love to everything, just as he loves himself. He loves every other object in the universe. So like that unconditional love is the result of this Samyak Darshana. It is not something, it is not a mere ethical guidance which Gita is giving. So sometimes we are more bothered about what ethical guidance is that a text gives. This ethical guidance which a text is giving is something which is a philosophical requirement also. Unless you follow this path, you will not become a Gyani. You see, ethical guidance, for the purpose of ethical guidance can be there. Okay, you go, you love, you do good to mankind. That is a pure thing. There, a question of I doing something to somebody else is there. You are separate and he is separate. You are the giver and he is the taker. Your hand is above, his hand is below, etc., etc. Whereas here, it is a philosophical requirement. It is because of awareness. It is because of awareness of Brahman in him and Brahman in you, that you are loving somebody unconditionally, and then you are loving and then you are taking care, just as you take care of yourself. So that is the meaning of this seeing oneself as Brahma, seeing everything as Brahman. Then the next shloka talks about, 29th shloka talks about Prakrutyaiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvashah. This is again continuation of this Samyak Darshana. Samyak Darshana is seeing Brahman everywhere, number 1. Then number 2 is Prakrutya eva kriyamana karmani kriyamanani. It is not the Atma which is the doer. It is the body-mind complex which is the doer. Because the body-mind complex is a derivative of this Bhuta, Pancha Mahabhutas. So naturally, a particular sense organ, it is going to whatever is the original, what is the parent, whatever is the parent of that. So I see the nose seeks whatever it likes, whatever it smells, whatever smells good. Then the tongue seeks whatever tasty is there. So what are the derivatives? These derivatives, they seek their parents. So that is how this Prakriti is the cause for all the karmas which take place in the body and not the Atma. Then the next shloka also is the same thing, that is seeing oneness in the universe. Yatha bhuta pruthak bhavam ekastham anupashyati. Ekastham means in one single Atma, in one and single consciousness. So bhuta pruthak bhavam. Pruthak bhavam means the separateness. Pruthak bhavam, separateness, that say plurality. But normally what do we see in normal life? We see plurality only. we study plurality, and once we study plurality or once we see diversity, it becomes a science. Whereas if you see oneness, that becomes philosophy, that becomes Vedanta. So yada bhuta pruthak bhavam ekasam anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram, and all this expansion is from that. And we saw Shankaracharya was saying Atmataha say Akashaha, Atmataha Tejaha, Atmataha Apaha, etc., etc. he was saying. So tata eva cha vistaram. Vistaram means expansion, that all that evolution has taken place from that only. Then Brahma sampadhyate tada, he becomes Brahman. So these 5 shlokas starting from say 24, 4 shlokas starting from 27 to 30, they talk of Samyak Darshana. Then again there is a reiteration of Atma, which is an Akarta. Say shlokas 31 to 33, they talk about how Atma is an Akarta. That is Anaditvat, Nirgunatvat, Paramatmayam Avyayah, Sharirasthopi Kaunteya, Nakaroti Nalipyate. So there again we saw how this Kartrutva, Nilakantha there again made a good point, saying that Kartrutva is possible only for a finite, for something which is a delimited thing, and not for an infinite thing. So Atma or consciousness being something which is a Niravayavi which cannot be cut down into, say, there cannot be any pieces in that. So that it is something which is infinite in nature. So in that there is no possibility of any activity. In infinity there is no possibility of any activity. Only when there is a finite object which is an avayavi, one avayavi can interact with another avayavi, one avayavi can say make friends or make enemies with another avayavi, but not something which is niravayavi. So sharirasthaha api kaunteya na karoti nalipyate. So that point was made by say Nilakantha. Then yatha sarvagatam saukshmyad akasham nopalipyate. So again this example of space, because the closest example to Atma is space, because that is something which cannot be say made into pieces or made into bits. So Mathakasha, Ghatakasha, then again some other Mahakasha, they are one and the same. Akasha is one and the same, it cannot be partitioned. So then again another example was of that of Ravi. Ravi is Surya. Yatha prakashayat yekaha krusnam lokamimam ravihi. There again we saw the example of Ravi. Then I told you the limitation of that example. That is Shankarananda in his commentary. He points out the limitation, which he says that you see sunlight, the Ravi illumines while being away from an object, isn't it? I bring a torchlight into the room and then focus the torchlight. So the torchlight is something different and objects are different. Similarly, Ravi is something different and all the universe is something different. Whereas Atma, the difference is Atma illumines everything. When we say that Atma illumines everything, it is not like saying Ravi is illumining everything. So Atma is illumining everything in itself. Atma is presenting everything or displaying everything in itself. So what all Prakriti is there, it is not apart from that consciousness, it is a manifestation in that consciousness. So this distinction we have to note. When we say that, say the sun is illumining the whole universe, Atma is illumining everything, it is Atma is not something different and Prakriti is not something different. We will be entering into duality. So Atma is manifesting all these things in itself. So that is what Shankarananda has pointed out. Then Kshetram Kshetri Yatha Prakashayat Yekah Krusnam Lokamimam Ravihi Kshetram Kshetri Tatha Krusnam Prakashayati. So this word Prakashayati we have to understand in that particular manner. So the last shloka again tells the Phalashruti Kshetra Kshetragnayoho Evam Antaram Jnana Chakshusha. This Jnana Chakshu, only yesterday we discussed this Jnana Chakshu, an eye of wisdom. What is that eye of wisdom? That is something, a mind which is freed from all types of samskaras. The mind which has say totally become empty, mind which has totally unlearned what all it has learnt right from its childhood about its identity, its say likes, dislikes and all these things, it has to unlearn, and then it has to see itself as something different, see itself as the mere consciousness. So that sort of thing. So when that happens, then Bhuta Prakriti Mokshamja. Moksha is Abhava Gamanam. Shankaracharya gives a meaning called Abhava Gamanam. Moksham means Bhuta Prakrutehe Moksham. Bhutanam Prakrutehe Moksham Abhava Gamanam, he says. Abhava Gamanam is just disappearing. It is not as though the whole Prakriti disappears. it disappears in the sense that it is seen as Brahman. It is seen as Brahman by a Jnani. So that is what we saw in that thing. And we also discussed the example of this sunlight passing through different, say, colored glasses. When it passes through a colored glass, the light which is coming out, that also is colored. The example which was mentioned by, say Panchadashi Kara in this Vedanta Panchadashi. So what we have to do is, we have to make the glass as clean as possible. The glass has to be totally transparent, it has to be totally colorless, so that the light which passes out also is colorless. So that is what say this Jnana Chakshu means. It should not be a colored glass. You should not look at the world through a colored glass. You have to look at say the world through a Samskrutam Manaha. What type of Samskrutam? That is Shravana Marana Nididhyasana, this Manana Nididhyasanabhyam Samskrutam Manaha, or something like that. We saw that expression. So the mind which is freed from all samskaras, so only such a mind can see this Bhuta Prakriti Moksham. Ye viduhu yanti te param. They attain the supreme. So this is what, this is how we say read or studied this particular say adhyaya. Then Phalashruti, that Jnana Chakshu is very much required. And so though the chapter contains only about 34 shlokas, we took a fairly long time to discuss some shlokas, particularly the second shloka and some other shlokas. So this gives us a fairly good account of what type of discipline is needed, what type of spiritual discipline is needed for a person in order to attain this Chitta Shuddhi, which is a prerequisite for realization. So here we close it. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.